Good morning. I also want to recognize Cecilia Abbott, representing the governor here today. Thank you for being here. I don't normally speak at these events. I believe it's for family, friends, co-workers, but I was asked to speak, and I'm honored to have an opportunity to speak. Since 2015, we've lost 50 men and women of law enforcement in the line of duty. And Deputy Dahliwal is that 50th. It's a dangerous thing that you do, the men and women here today. It's a dangerous thing that he did. But he knew that, as all these men and women here today. And that's an incredible statement of a human being to be willing to give their life for a stranger if called upon. I didn't have the pleasure or the honor of knowing your husband or your son, but I saw the photographs on television and some of the video when he was with our two sheriffs here today on the stage. And I instantly felt this warmth from his smile and the kindness in his eyes. And I understand that that was a window into his soul that made him the person he was. To serve his community, to serve his fellow man, as dangerous as it could be and turned out to be. There's nothing today that no one on the stage can say to the family to take away the pain and the loss. But this memorial that has been set up for him, this service, these two services today, should send a strong message. Number one, that we in Harris County and we in the state of Texas stand behind the men and women of law enforcement, and we respect you and we love you despite the evil that exists in the world. Secondly, it sends a message that Sandeep will never be forgotten. Never be forgotten. Decades from now, not just the family, but the people he served, those strangers that he met and made them friends, the community he served will talk about him and the great man that he was. He did more in his short life than some people do who live 100 years. He made a real difference through his acts of kindness. As Senator Ted Cruz said earlier, we're one of the most diverse, if not the most diverse city in the country. And we're all here today, different faiths, but we're all here today for the family. My pastor, Dr. Ed Young, said, when you go to a service or go to visit someone in the hospital, go to a funeral, what do you say? And he said, you're just there. And today, all of these people who won't have a chance to speak to the family, they're here for you. They're here of respect to him. In my faith, in the book of Matthew 20:26, it says, for those who wish to be great, you must first be a servant. Sandeep Dahliwal was great because he was first a servant. I'm here representing the Texas Senate, the legislature, the governor, along with Mrs. Abbott, to let you know that far beyond these walls across the state of Texas, 29 million of us hurt for you. Hurt for you. And you'll be in our prayers. And we thank the family, because that's always something that strikes me. Of all the services Mrs. Abbott or the governor and I have attended over these 5 years, of all the men and women we've lost, the sacrifice that you all make, you have the only job that I know of outside of the military that defends us beyond our borders, but the only job in America, in Texas, where every day you get up and you put on a badge and you put on a gun to go out there and protect people you don't even know. And the families wait for you to come home safely. So thanks to all of you who are here from different states and different counties for what you do every day for us. And our deepest gratitude to the Dahliwal family. Our hearts all break with yours. Every time someone in law enforcement passes away, every heart in Texas breaks a little bit more. May God bless you. Thank you.
Sandeep Dahliwal was a deputy, a husband, a father, a son. I want you all to know, to his family, on behalf of Harris County, he was a friend to many. As your county judge, I want you to know that our county and our community are better because he lived. As an immigrant, I want you to know that our county and our country were stronger because you made the decision to leave your country and to come to the United States, to come to Harris County and to this great community. To his children, your father taught us how to meet people where they are. He taught us how to join folks, whether it was a child at a coffee shop or somebody undergoing a medical emergency. To his wife, I want you to know your father, your husband, taught us that life is a collection of small acts of kindness. To his father, your son, taught us to go boldly where other people won't, to open doors and to love, to be strong together. You have lost your hero, and that's unimaginable pain that none of us can understand. But your father, your husband, your son has shown us that love. He has taught us to open our doors and open our hearts. We will not let our community be fearful, because the opposite of love is not hate, it is fear. We will not live in fear of another tragedy. We will not close our doors. We will not close our hearts, but rather we will go forward together. He has shown the love and the commitment that so many leaders in our community have for him and for everyone who makes the ultimate sacrifice and who every single day sacrifices for the rest of us. I believe that's the message Deputy Sandeep Dahliwal wanted us to take, and that's the message we will carry forward in our hearts.
Sat Sri Akal. Sandeep Veer. Sandeep PR. Dahliwal Parivar. Sandeep was my brother. Sandeep was love. And the Dahliwals are my family. Elected officials, dignitaries, members of Congress, thank you for being here to honor a decent man. I want to thank, in particular, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson-Lee, who cannot join us, but she worked with the family tirelessly to help have some members from the UK be here today. Harinder, I don't have the words. Sandeep took a special place in my heart. He only shares it with my family, my blood family. My daughter, my wife are here. My daughter made a special trip to be here because Sandeep would always say, Miss Nina, how's Miss Nina? And Miss Monica. Baba, you raised a good man. You raised them with a heart of gold. It is unfair that a father should outlive his son. It is unfair. But know that this stadium and all those around the world that are watching us, that this celebration of life is fit for a king. You gave us your only son, Baba. And all he wanted to do was to make you proud. And he did so beautifully. When you were watching and when you couldn't see him, he was carrying your heart, your values, your name, your respect. He was carrying it out into this incredible community, touching all those who were curious to see this man in a turban and a beard carrying a badge and gun. Children that were not his own. And even for those who may have tilted their head to see a police officer wearing a turban, Sandeep won them over. We have been so blessed. I lost a brother in law enforcement a few years ago. And the first thing I thought when I got that fateful call from Sheriff Gonzalez, Sheriff, thank you for your leadership, was that I'd lost another brother. To the Sikh officers in uniform, Attorney General, thank you for being the example that you are for Sandeep. He admired you, he respected you, and he wanted to be like you. And to the broader community and to all the law enforcement officers that are here, to members of this incredibly diverse community, I will respectfully say that Sandeep, although taken too soon and in a horrible fashion, Sandeep was here to teach us. He was here to guide us. He was here to help us understand that if we just approach each other on a level of decency, so much good can come from it. I had a good cry this morning. And I'm trying to hold one back. But I got so many memories of Sandeep. And one that hasn't been shared, but I'll close with it, was that as I was with Sandeep one evening, and somebody from the family calls out and says, "Hey, Vicky." And Sandeep moves off. "Well, I got a trained ear. I heard Vicky." And so I said, "Sandeep, did I hear Vicky?" And he goes, "Oh, Sheriff, there's a story behind that." See, in India, Vicky apparently is a common nickname for a young man. But when he came here, he made friends with another young man from the States, and the young man asked him, "What's your name?" And Sandeep says, "Vicky." And the young man goes, "What?" He goes, "Vicky." He goes, "Oh, no, 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 no. We cannot have a Vicky here. You cannot be Vicky here. You're Ricky." But it just goes to show that the purity that was in Sandeep's heart when he was Vicky is the purity that he served this great community, this great state, and this great country. I love you. Sat Sri Akal.
This morning, Wednesday is normally our city council day, and this morning was our city council day. And we had a fairly long agenda, and normally we start at 9 a.m., and we go generally until about 12 or 12:30. I want this family to know that because of your son, your husband, your father, City Council this morning started at 9, and we were done by 9:35. That doesn't happen too often. But I wanted you to know that every member of the Houston City Council wanted to be a part of this service this morning. And most of them, not all of them, are here this morning out of tribute and respect for your son. Can't erase the pain this morning, but in moments like these, we fall on our faith. We believe that in moments like this, God has a way of giving us the strength to just push forward. Some things we don't understand, some things make no sense, but in moments like this, we fall on our pain. I want to extend my deepest respect and condolences to this family on behalf of the city of Houston. Our respect for all of law enforcement, every man, every woman who leaves their home, patrol our streets, put their lives on the line, to their families, our deepest respect. And once again, to the Sikh community, to Sheriff Gonzalez, and again, let me thank you for your leadership during these moments, to the men and women of the Sheriff's Office, and to the thousands of people who knew the deputy so well. I want to extend our thanks and want to extend our outreach to them, just like Deputy Dahliwal extended the friendship and love to so many in our community. I said before, he was the ambassador of all that is good. All that is good. And the way his death occurred does not erase that. He was, continues to be, the ambassador that all that is good, all that is just, and all about service. Do we still grieve? Absolutely. We will continue to grieve. Yes, we will. But I do want this family and the Sikh community and others to know that all across our community, all across the state and country and even the world, there are people that are talking about Sandeep Dahliwal. He reminds us that one person can make a difference. One person can make a difference. And if anyone dared to question that, just take a look in this room today and take a look, reflect on all of the outpouring of love that have occurred since Friday. And quite frankly, we don't come because this is a special day. We gather here because the life he lived was special. Not about Friday, but it's about every single day that he lived, the service that he rendered, and how he lived his life that makes this day so special. One person. And he reminds us all, you don't have to be a star athlete or an entertainer or even a public office holder. You can be a cop, a sheriff deputy, do your job well, wear the blue, get up every day to protect and serve, and one person can make a difference. And he has. I'll close with this. How do we celebrate his life? We celebrate his life through service of our own. If we value the life he led, then we must continue to serve others, irrespective of differences, ethnicity, political persuasion, because for him it did not matter. Protect and defend is what he did. Sheriff Garcia, Commissioner Garcia, I want to again thank you for having the courage yourself to put in place a policy that allowed him to serve. Sheriff Gonzalez, I want to thank you for continuing that policy. And my commitment is that the trail that he blazed, where he was able to walk through the door when the door was open, that others from the Sikh community, when it comes to the Houston Police Department, that others will follow as well on the trail that he blazed. He was a unique person. And then some people say he was an ordinary person doing some extraordinary things. I beg to differ. He was an extraordinary person that did some incredible things that impacted our community in an incredible way. And a city that happens to be the most diverse in the country is a city because of this one person on this day, and hopefully days to come, will be the most unified it has ever been. What a tribute. What a legacy. And so therefore I, Sylvester Turner, Mayor, City of Houston, hereby proudly proclaim this day, October 7th, 2019, as Sheriff Deputy Sandeep Dahliwal Day in the City of Houston. This shall be forever, forever his day. And to God be the glory for the good he has done.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. To the Dahliwal family, to all the dignitaries gathered, to all the friends, community members, men and women of law enforcement, it is indeed an honor and a privilege to join you this afternoon to share a few words. But the unfortunate reality is that it's difficult for me this afternoon to find adequate words of remembrance at this moment. And that's because I don't believe that there are enough words to honor the life of Deputy Sandeep Singh Dahliwal, to honor his service, to honor his bravery and his sacrifice. Nor are there enough words for me to offer to comfort this community especially the law enforcement community, at this very difficult time. And there certainly are not enough words for me to share this afternoon with his family and his young children to address their pain and their grief. But while there are not enough words to capture any of what I've just described, I do think there are things that we can do in this moment, things that we must do in this moment. And it begins with coming together as we are this afternoon to remember Deputy Dahliwal, to remember what he stood for and the principles that he embodied. I never had the privilege of meeting him, the honor of meeting him or speaking to him. But I know from hearing from those who've spoken this morning and during this ceremony, and from talking to his family and others that he touched far and wide, that he represented the very best of us. He was the embodiment of the American dream, proof that in this country, it makes no difference where you come from, what you believe, what you look like, that if you work hard, you can achieve success. And he succeeded, first in business, but more importantly, later in life, in public service as a law enforcement officer, showing with the steadfast support of many on this dais that you don't have to sacrifice your faith, you don't have to sacrifice your identity to serve others. And in doing so, he not only gave the Sikh community here in Texas, across the country, and throughout the world the confidence to be comfortable in their sarup, in their identity, but he also inspired, as we saw on the stage earlier, an entire generation of Sikhs to enter public service. He has blazed, as the mayor said, a path for others to follow well into the future, to become first responders, to enter law enforcement, to enter military service with their identities intact. But here's the thing. It wasn't enough for Deputy Dahliwal to be the first or to just serve. We must also remember today and on all days that he was someone who put himself before others in every aspect of his life, in every aspect of his work, that he was the ultimate embodiment of the Sikh concept of seva, of selfless service. And what better proof of that than the fact that he laid down his life in service of his community, making the ultimate sacrifice. But it's also not enough to remember. We all need to act as well. We have to support his family. We must be here for them in whatever way we can, today and into the future. And for those of us in positions of authority, we must support our law enforcement officers, ensuring that they always have the tools and the resources to do their jobs safely and effectively. And we must do all that we can to hold accountable those that target our law enforcement officers. And that includes pushing back against this rising tide of disrespect and disregard that we are witnessing against our law enforcement officers at this time in this country. We are witnessing it against our heroes. Heroes like Deputy Dahliwal, heroes who run to danger to keep us safe, who put themselves in harm's way so we can live in peace. This is a profoundly difficult time, and I'm well aware that my words offer little comfort. But for those of us from the Sikh faith, we do well to remember what our scripture, the Sri Guru Granth Sahib, reminds us. Jehe chire likhya, teha hukam kamaiye, kalle ave nanka, sade uthe jai. As his decree is issued, so too is his command obeyed. Those who are sent to this world, O Nanak, come, and when they are called back, they depart. Deputy Dahliwal has been called back. He has departed, and that is what we as Sikhs are taught to accept. On behalf of the state of New Jersey, our Governor Philip Murphy, the Colonel of our New Jersey State Police, Colonel Patrick Callahan, who is here with me today, on behalf of the 36,000 men and women of law enforcement in the state of New Jersey, we thank the Dahliwal family for sharing Sandeep with us. We honor Sandeep for making the ultimate sacrifice, and we offer our deepest condolences to his grieving family, his colleagues, and this community. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Before I start, I'd like everybody that worked with Deputy Dahliwal, including everybody from District 5, to please rise. Everybody that was in District 5 or is currently in District 5. And to the Dahliwal family, I'm honored to be able to speak on behalf of such a great man. This is your family. We won't let you down. He was our brother, and he's still our brother, and you're still our family. So thank you. I had a little moment of clarity this morning. I wrote a speech last night, and after listening to the Sikh service, I had a moment of clarity that Dahliwal was the epitome of what you guys stand for. He was a servant leader, and he was one of my friends, and I've met so many of his family throughout the years, and I want to say that I've had kind words with many of you. I met with the family after this tragedy, and I feel comfort. I felt comfort after I left your house and speaking with you about my friend. So I'm Sergeant Adam Lightfoot, and on behalf of Captain Marcus Kennard Bing and the men and women of District 5, I want to thank you for your attendance here today. Your presence and support means so much to us as a district in this time of mourning, as well as the entire body of the Harris County Sheriff's Office. The loss of such a dear and faithful member of our family has been difficult, but we also experienced an outpouring of support from the community he so bravely served. I'm going to go back on a little history with Deputy Dahliwal. When I met Dahliwal, and we call each other by our last names because that's just how it is in law enforcement and the military, so I'll call somebody their first name and somebody by their last name. So Dahliwal was just Dahliwal. So we both arrived in District 5 in 2013. Dahliwal was a patrol deputy on probation, evening shift, and I was a supervisor. His training officer, Sully, and I'm sure Sully's here somewhere, Sully was off that night, and I was in the sergeant's office doing the roster, and this guy runs in and walks in, sticks his hand out and says, "Deputy Dahliwal reporting for duty, Sarge." And I was taken aback. I was like, who is this guy that has so much energy? I'd never met him before. But that's who he was. And that's my first meeting with such a great man. And I was right. He was full of energy. He always volunteered for the extra details that we had. One of our duties was to create traffic initiatives to address problems with speeders, red light runners, other kind of violators. So we had an issue with people exiting the controlled access freeway up by our substation. Lieutenant Bruce can attest to that. But I asked Deputy Dahliwal one day, and this is probably July, in 100-degree heat. I said, Sandeep, I said, I need you to go out to our spot and just, be visible, make some contacts, generate us some stats. We've got some problems over here. He says, no problem, Sarge, I'm on it. So I finished my duties and went down the road and made the U-turn and came back up the feeder, and Dahliwal had 6 or 7 cars pulled over at one time. And I said, what are you doing? He said, well, Sarge, he said, I flagged them all over, and I'm going to ride them all at one time. And I said, well, you really love this job. And I'm sure he made a lot of them mad, because normally you don't want to detain somebody that long on the side of the road and wait for everybody else to get their citation. So that's just the effort that he put through in his daily duties. And I was talking about stories with some of our coworkers. We always eat lunch together, and so there's a lot of ribbon that goes on between us. And I had thought of a few stories that were appropriate to tell here. And one, we had the crackers that they give you at Chick-fil-A. So I crumbled up a bunch of them, and I threw them on the roof of his patrol car. And so when he left, there was about 8 grackles sitting on the top of his patrol car eating crackers off of his car, and he didn't notice. He got in his car, put his car in reverse, and backed out, and all these birds stayed there on the car. So it was quite a sight to be leaving a Chick-fil-A with a bunch of wildlife in tow. So we ribbed him about it, and he had no idea. So it's just one of the many funny stories that I can tell you about Dahliwal, and we call him Dahliwal stories. And everybody I work with probably has a Dahliwal story. There's another one when he bumped into a patrol car and acted like he didn't do it, but anyway, it was he was a blast to work with. Just a comedy and an infectious smile. If I could take one thing away from just having known him for so many years, he was always smiling. He'd come into my office, and every other Friday was payroll day, so I'm sitting there and I'm typing away in the computer, and he goes, "Good morning, Sarge," and I'm like, "What? I'm busy. I got all this mess to do. I've got all this payroll to work on. How's it a good morning?" He's like, "Let's go eat." And I'm like, "Okay, let's get out of here." So that's the type of person he was, and he was, just know that he was an uplifting spirit amongst our group, and he was definitely a valued part of our team. So we worked together 6.5 years. He never lost the excitement for the job that he did, and he never met a stranger. I'm telling you, he never turned away from a hug. He never turned away from a handshake. Always willing to engage with the public and the citizens we served, and that's just a testament to who he was as a person. So National Night Out was last night, and it was a little tough. We had a lot of support, but I tell you, every stop that I made, it just touched me, because somebody had something positive to say about Sandeep. A child came up to me, an adult, a lady in a wheelchair came up and said he touched her life. So even the employees at our favorite Chick-fil-A wrote a letter, just a touching letter about what he meant to them. So there's no telling how many lives Sandeep touched in his time with the sheriff's office. I know he touched each and every one of us who were lucky to share a beat with him. And in closing, I remember at the vigil, they had a candlelight vigil on Monday, and Commissioner Garcia gave a touching speech. And he said that he felt partially responsible for the events, or bringing Sandeep into this. But I thank him for his wisdom to bring such just a great guy into our ranks. And so thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you.
Sut Sri Akal. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us as we pay tribute to our friend and brother, Harris County Sheriff's Office Deputy Sandeep Dahliwal. The story of Sandeep Dahliwal has many chapters, but in the end, it's not how Sandeep Dahliwal lost his life that made him a hero. It's how he lived his life. He is a hero because of service during his entire life. So today is not about a horrible tragedy. It is about a hero. Sandeep has brought this entire community together in a very powerful way, in a way that only Sandeep could do. He joined the Harris County Sheriff's Office first as a detention officer, and then he would advance to deputy, where he served as a patrol deputy in this community, the community he also chose to raise his family. Law enforcement is a unique profession because we are so immediately recognizable. We drive marked cars, we wear uniforms and badges, we carry guns. For most of us, the day we put on our uniform is the first day we see what it's like having people look at us differently than they ever did before. It's when we start to realize that our actions no longer speak for who we are as individuals, but they influence how those we encounter will come to view anyone else from our profession. We learn that we are ambassadors for law enforcement. For Sandeep, that has always been the case because he wore his Sikh faith on the outside for everyone to see. The turban, the beard. He was a trailblazer. He embraced all the initial scrutiny, questions, and sideways glances because he valued being part of our law enforcement family, and in particular, being part of the Harris County Sheriff's Office family. He saw in our profession an opportunity to serve with a deeper purpose and to make a positive difference. And he succeeded far beyond his own dreams and expectations. The thousands of you gathered here today are the living proof and recognition of that success. The turnout today is not only a tribute to his service to our community, but an acknowledgement of the amazing individual that he was. There are few undertakings so noble as the protection of our own community. It is defined by service and attracts those who truly believe they can make a difference. There are many, many who enter our profession and serve with distinction. There are select few who soar above the rest. When he was on the job, he modeled for the rest of us how to be true ambassadors for this profession. Show genuine interest in your colleagues and the people we serve. Get to know people, invest in them, be a friend. Serve with humility and kindness, help those in need. He was a man of dedication, faith, love, and compassion. A man who worked daily to protect our community, and that dedication, sadly, brings us to this moment. He was a proud deputy dedicated to his work up to his final hour. He did his job until the last second of his life. Losing Sandeep has hit all of us extremely hard. You don't replace people like Sandeep. Instead, we must allow ourselves to be changed by him. That is how we will honor our brother's legacy and his sacrifice to this community that he embraced. People like Sandeep make us all better. Sandeep was an inspiration to us all and was considered to be one of our finest deputies with a bright future to match his beautiful, bright personality, enthusiasm, and joy for life. I will miss the gentle smile and the embrace I received each time I saw him, and that confidence that he exuded. His smile could light up a room. Eventually, we will get back to smiling the way Sandeep did. To his wife, Harvinder, his 3 beautiful children, to Baba, PR, his father, sisters, uncle, as well as to all his family members. On behalf of the men and women of the Harris County Sheriff's Office, who I proudly speak for today, thank you. Thank you for sharing him with us. I want you to know with absolute certainty that Sandeep did you proud. I hope that these last few days you felt the love and support not only from his Harris County Sheriff's Office family, but the entire first responder community and this entire county, state, and country. There are no words capable of providing sufficient comfort. All we can do is pledge our undying support and promise to be by your side from this moment forward. To the members of our District 5 Patrol, who he loved and respected him back, Console yourself in knowing that Sandeep spent his last moments in the company of you, his law enforcement family. Sandeep has touched so many people, as you can see in this room. Deputy Sandeep Dahliwal will be celebrated, and his legacy will be remembered forever. There is hope because we carry him with us. It's the responsibility of the community to honor those who serve and protect. I am proud of our community for rallying behind the sheriff's office in such a difficult time. You lifted us up in our darkest hour. I thank Deputy Dahliwal and all first responders for their service. If you're a member of the first responder community here locally or in our state, if you could please rise, please, so we could appreciate you. If you're a member of first responder community or the military anywhere in our country or around the world, please stand up and be recognized. Thank you. These men and women put their lives on the line so that others have the chance to live in safety, and we are eternally grateful. This tragedy has united a lot of us in the first responder community, in this region, in the state, and across the nation. The most important thing in times like these is to get together to support each other. We appreciate all the support you've given us to help us get through this. To all the agencies that at this very moment are out there helping support either this event, this remembrance ceremony, or helping us run calls, we appreciate you so more members of our law enforcement family could be here. I will close with one of my favorite poems by George Bernard Shaw that reminds me of the way that my friend Sandeep lived. I am of the opinion that my life belongs to the community, and as long as I live, it is my privilege to do for it whatever I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die, for the harder I work, the more I live. Life is no brief candle to me. It is a sort of splendid torch which I have got a hold of for just a moment, and I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it off to future generations. We need more Sandeeps in the world, so I challenge each and every one of you today, go out and be a Sandeep Dahliwal. May God bless this community. May God bless the Harris County Sheriff's Office and the entire first responder community here today. May God bless the great state of Texas, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.